All right, I know what I said. All right, and don't ask where 4 and 5 are, please. All right, I can't bring myself to watch. You didn't have to play it again, bro. I said, you know, y'all loved the last video, so like, you know I love y'all, so I had to hook y'all up with another one. Now, Bayformers has always been in the conversation of being one of the most hated franchises, like, everywhere. Marvel fans were eaten well back in the day, and the same went for DC fans. Now, I, for one, I absolutely love Bayformers. The first Transformer movie I still think is so awesome. I don't really like Revenge of the Fallen that much, but I absolutely love Dark of the Moon. And, yeah, you know, like we said in the last video, we don't talk about these two suckers. Now, Transformers Age of Extinction and The Last Knight were when the franchise definitely had started to dip. But not only the franchise, but the Transformers IP and all. These films single-handedly almost tore down the entire name, and not even that, the idea of any other kinds of Transformers productions being made after that. And we are only now just starting to see a slow rise in the franchise thanks to Bumblebee and Transformers 1. Now, don't get me wrong, there still really isn't a big buzz for any of these films. Bumblebee was a box office flop and the film was really awesome. Later on, Rise of the Beast came out and it was...
Work friends.
Work friends? You've been inside me. You what?
It was alright and ended up also being a box flop. And then Transformers 1. Definitely the best Transformers movie we have ever gotten, only for it to flop due to an insane marketing issue. Like, I ain't even gonna hold y'all. When I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it was about to be trash. So today, we're gonna be going back and looking at how Transformers Age of Extinction and how Transformers The Last Knight ruined Transformers forever. Or what could have been for, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and just start.
Excuse me! Excuse me, lady, excuse me! Oh my God! How do you say I'm an inventor? Chinese.
Now, from the last video, I noticed that a lot of you guys, like, actually were apparently fans of Age of Extinction. The movie starts off, and I'm not gonna lie, too, I low-key messed with some of this movie. Like, the opening, I think, is pretty dope. I like the idea that it don't got no intense, awe-inspiring music, no big reveal like in the beginning. Like, nah, they show like the Earth and like these freaky ships coming up with this ominous music, and like 8-year-old me was sitting watching this. I was like, yo, this is not finna be no joke. Spoilers, the movie was an absolute joke. After this, the movie starts off showing these aliens wiping out the dinosaurs, and this is apparently how they farmed their metal to make the Transformers, I'm pretty sure. Which is another like whole writing contradiction, but anyways. After this contradictory opening, we get introduced to our incredible main characters of the film. Cade Yeager, your average dad from Texas, who works on trucks and drinks beers while watching a sunset, and...
I'm an inventor. This could be a game changer for me. If I can apply...
Yeah, we know, Mr. Yeager. We know. We also have Cade's daughter, Tessa, who is your average Texan white girl. She loves to party, she loves to drink, she loves her dad, and she loves talking to boys without her dad knowing. And then we have TJ Miller, who, I don't really know why they decided to put one of the bottom 3 funniest guys in this movie, but it doesn't matter because he gets absolutely charred, like, right after we meet him. Also, for some reason, this movie is, like, obsessed with sexualizing a 17-year-old girl.
Sweetheart, your shorts are shrinking by the second, okay? Cold water, air dry, please.
I think she looks hot.
What?
There's even a plot device that involves this, but we'll get into that later. Anyways, Mr. Yeager is an inventor who works to make useless inventions to make devices to make money for his broke family. He ends up finding a truck who, shaboom, happens to be the GOAT Optimus Prime. No surprise, TJ Miller decided to report this to the government, and they came to collect Prime. Now, let me run y'all up for it a little bit. After the events of Dark of the Moon, after Chicago just turned into Punk Hazard and was just wiped off of the map, the humans are like, yo, we do not mess with these Transformers no more. So they started hunting after them, and Prime became a refugee. Anyways, TJ Miller decided to report this to the government, and they came to collect Optimus Prime. Cade Yeager shows his true loyalty and decides to lie to the government to protect a 20-foot tall robot that has countless weapons that he just met 5 minutes ago, while his 17-year-old daughter has a Gen 5 pointed right to her temple meat. Father of the year, guys. Let's give it up for Yeager. Anyways, Prime is locked down in the basement and hears all of this going on and doesn't come out until they were literally about to put a cap in Tessa's head. It was like, yo, this guy's pretty messed up. Anyways, after that, Prime jumps straight out of the barn and starts his usual shenanigans of Swiss cheesing everybody in the vicinity. The villain of the... Oh, shoot. I completely forgot about to talk about this stuff with Ratchet. So, in the beginning of the movie, they showed, yeah, again, humans are absolutely done with the Transformers, going as far as hunting them down and publicly executing them after what happened in Chicago. And then when you think the movie is finally starting to make, like, sense with these people making smart choices, it instantly isn't, because they're introduced to another villain that the humans are teaming up with to get rid of more robots. Oh my god, this is just giving me a headache. So, they trace down the medical robot and they just obliterate him for no reason. The thing is, these movies do not care if someone is throwing up the white flag. If anything, that just makes someone to do way worse. I mean, we saw what happened to Megatron. This, Lockdown as a villain is okay. I see that a lot of people really like him, and I can see why. The idea of having a Cybertronian figure that's not an Autobot or a Decepticon and just views them as like immature children, I think is pretty cool. But he's just kind of corny. I mean, he comes in and he says some dumb lines and then he just leaves and does whatever.
I also have a saying, I don't care.
And I don't really get what he gets out of bringing Optimus to the creators, because that goes absolutely nowhere in this film or The Last Knight, and we don't really get why he's trying to do any of this stuff. And I also don't get why the humans are siding with a robot that looks like this. Like, there were literally red flags going up everywhere. Anyways, let's get back to the present. Lockdown sees what's going on from like God knows how far, and he blows Cade's house to smithereens. Now, just when things seem like there's no hope, Tessa's secret boyfriend Shane comes in. Did I remind you that he's her secret boyfriend and that Cade doesn't approve of this? Yeah, because the movie certainly doesn't forget to remind you. Our main characters go on an epic high-speed chase. TJ Miller turns into Hanji from Attack on Titan, and our main characters flee the scene with Optimus Prime and have themselves a little road trip. They take a pit stop at this place, and this is when we are introduced to the most nefarious plot line of the movie. Cade is talking with Tessa and Shane, getting to know them and stuff, you know, and also Shane for some reason has an Irish accent that like comes in for a little bit of the movie and then disappears and then comes back in.
You get your ass kicked in Ireland for saying that.
That was insane. It was awesome, but it was insane, right?
Anyways, Cade finds out that this is a fully grown 20-year-old man and that his daughter is only 17. So homeboy was really one of them seniors that was checking out the freshman talking about some where my hug at with his weak fake Irish accent. To make this scene even worse, Shane decides to show that they're protected by the Romeo and Juliet law. So this basically states that the fact that they were both minors when they started dating is what makes this okay. So he was like a senior when she was a sophomore, I think they said in the movie. The fact that this is the most least contradictory thing in the entire franchise is insanity to me. These suckers spent more time writing why it's okay for an adult to be with a minor than it does writing its own lore in the movies. The more I think about it, I'm like, who were the 5 people in the audience that laughed at this joke? And do we need to take a look at all these people's computers and search histories? Like, there was literally no reason to add this to the story. It doesn't add any kind of depth to these characters. It doesn't make you like them more. Well, why not make them both minors? I mean, you could still have your same dumb, corny dad that doesn't like the boyfriend trope, or just make them both legal. The end of the movie, Cade is really gonna sit here and accept that his daughter is not even graduated and dating a 20-year-old? You gonna settle for this? It instantly cements all 3 of these characters being incredibly unlikable, and they're in like 90% of the movie, which makes it nearly an unbearable watch when you can't even invest with anything involving the characters. Later on, we get introduced to the rest of the Autobots, and they have kind of the same problem as the human characters. Right off the bat, these characters are introduced, and all they talk about is murdering each other and how much they don't like each other. And it's like, bro, what? Y'all are supposed to be a team. Why are we insulting each other and talking about shoving bombs down each other's throats? These new Autobots also introduced a trope that kind of made me uncomfortable. For some reason, they decided to give the Autobots like insanely human faces. Like, looking at Crosshair's face for too long just kind of makes me feel some kind of way. Also, Drift is really weird to look at. The fact that he's like the only racial inspired robot, it doesn't make any sense, and it kind of feels like racist. Like, bro, they literally made his face yellow. Like, where did he find and learn about the ancient samurai arts and gain a Japanese accent? and turn his face to look like Ken Watanabe. Hound is probably the best one out of these. He's literally bulkhead, so I don't know why they didn't just make him that. Anyways, they're all in the desert and they have these brand new spanking designs. Now, let's get into these designs. We'll start off with Optimus. There's a lot here that doesn't make any sense. So first I want to talk about the fact that Prime was like, yo, when we first got introduced to Prime, he was like telling Cade, yo, I gotta get to my Autobots. Like, they're the only ones that can fix me. Like, this dude is literally on his last leg. His head is falling to pieces. He's coughing up blood. And then he just like scans a new truck and he's perfectly fixed and no damage anywhere to be seen. Which makes absolutely no sense because it rewrites the lore that we had already previously known. Which is a common theme, but I mean, the Transformers can't just do this. Like, they gotta be treated to be fixed. Megatron got half his face blown off in Revenge of the Fallen and while he was a tank in that movie. And then he comes back in Dark of the Moon as a truck, but he still has these injuries. Also, the fact that I'm gonna just let y'all figure this one out. Point out a single piece on him that belongs on a car, besides those two measly smokestacks on his back. Like, dude, where do all of these truck pieces go? There's not even a single tire on him. Anyways, the plot advances and the Autobots find out that they melted up Ratchet. So Prime sees this on FaceTime and starts going crazy. So y'all know what this means. Prime pulls up to the meeting, no suit, no tie, and no shoes, expecting service. He blows through the windows with the rest of his squad and they start blazing this place up. They try to destroy everything when everyone's favorite bald man, Stanley Tucci, comes in. It's like, yo, we do not need y'all, bro. Like, I don't care why you in here, but you gotta leave. And I think something was wrong with Prime's head here. Like, I don't think he was all here, because he actually left without blowing old boy's glasses right off of his clean beam. They bounce and Bald Man's worker is like, yo, you gotta deploy Galvatron to catch these guys. Like, we've been looking for these guys for years, and they literally just came to us and you let him leave. They send out Galvatron, and all I gotta say is, what is this design? I don't know about y'all, but they absolutely fumbled Galvatron. I hate these stupid, like, pixel Transformer soldiers that they were making. Galvatron tries to hunt down the Autobots when his biggest fear comes out. Mind y'all, this was the last time that these guys had interacted. Prime ends up laying bro out like you lay out your laundry when that boy gets his chest exploded and Lockdown is here. Bro comes in and gets straight to business, tying up Prime, gets his ship up, and old boy gets kidnapped right then and there. Also, Cade's daughter did not need to get kidnapped here. Like, she had like a whole 15 minutes to get up out that car. And then I remember that she's blonde, so it kind of all made sense. Anyways, the rest of the bots sneak onto the ship with Cade and Shane to save his daughter. While this is happening, Bald Man finds out that Galvatron is actually not finna let these just control him. He finna steal the thing that's the seed and then turn their whole world into a Transformer army to take over the world. As for Lockdown, again, I don't really know. And for some reason, out of all places, Galvatron chose to do Hong Kong to, like, take over the world. I guess bro was really just trying to get as far away from Prime as he possibly could. The bots go to Hong Kong, and there's, like, all these drones, and this just feels ridiculous. Galvatron is nowhere to be seen during this entire third act. While the war is going on, Prime goes off with the two others to get oh shoot, the Dinobots. Yeah, I'm not even gonna hold you, these guys look pretty wicked, despite them looking like hideous bugs when they're in their regular form. But the dinosaur form looks absolutely beautiful. Our Galvatron this whole time was probably trying to build up courage. You know, this dog has gone pieced every single time, but now he's a new man. Just for bro to look over the corner of the horizon to see this sucker riding on a dinosaur, breathing fire, jumping over bridges, and absolutely crushing his whole army. Yeah, dog took one look at this and said, I'm out. Anyways, after the bots take care of the whole army, Lockdown comes back with his ship with a blood-curdling scream looking for Prime. He grabs bro, jumps right on his shield, all 14 tons of him. That big back was heavy. They fall and bro grabs Prime by his neck meat and slams Prime into some freaking smokestack. I don't even know what this was. I mean, bro is being so disrespectful, he even did a useless side flip just to farm Aura right in front of him. Prime is trying to do the best he could do, but this sucker Lockdown is just too smooth. This dude blocks his sword, then his shield, then shoots his sword out of his hand, dodges his swing, and does a karate spin Daniel-san kick right at his face. This dude was fighting like the Huz was watching. I mean, Prime is getting absolutely embarrassed right here, getting the tables turned on him, and Lockdown had him hitting those Berlizzi Caleb City sound effects. Bumblebee squares up with Lockdown, and Prime really got the nerve to say, "Get out of here! This is my fight!" Like, he don't got a sword stuck in his rib cage. Lockdown somehow starts to get pieced up by Cade. Like, dog, you literally destroyed a Prime, and now you can't take out this middle-aged father. Like, there's literally a shot where Cade blocks his arm. Like, what? Anyways, Prime ends up getting the sword taken right out of his chest, and he shoves that joint right through Lockdown's back meat, having bro tossing his lunch right all over Cade. Then he pulls up his sword, slicing him clean in half. Prime drops a one-liner. There we get a shot of the grown man and the minor making out. Like, we supposed to be like, man, this is such a cute couple. The movie ends with Prime saying that he's gonna go find their creators to stop them from ever coming to Earth, so he flies off and the movie ends. Now, the more I think about this one, I don't think this movie is horrible, because the lows definitely get lower than this. The movie's full of contradictions to the original lore of the first 3 movies and characters that we don't care about. After this movie came out, everyone was just kind of like, okay. Critics absolutely despised the film, but I'd say it was fun enough to watch, and it doesn't feel too brutal to sit through, and it ended up making like $1 billion worldwide. But you'd be lying to yourself if you could say you could watch this and it still has the same charisma and magic as the first 3 movies, because it is definitely devoid of all that. This is definitely when people started to realize that the Transformers name and interest was definitely starting to dwindle away, and the next movie is definitely what put the nail in the coffin.
This message is to my creators. I'm coming. What?
Now, Transformers: The Last Knight is definitely the worst Transformers movie ever made, and these schmucks really thought they was finna make a whole other movie after this. No! Alright, I'm trying to get through this movie, so let's hold hands, guys. The movie starts off with a medieval battle that, again, rewrites the entire lore and is incredibly dumb. The Transformers apparently had these knights, and all these Wiccans were descendants of these knights and stuff. So the knights and this huge dragon end up helping King Arthur win this battle, which makes absolutely no sense. So you're telling me King Arthur had a dragon robot and an entire army of knights and still ended up dying and be taken over? We get to see Optimus Prime, who is, oh dang, yeah, bro froze to death in space, really trying to fly. I don't know where he thought he was going. Bro really has a bad rep with flying. He's got to just stop. Anyways, apparently Prime now has dementia, because when he gets to Cybertron, he starts geeking, talking about what happened to my home. Like, dog, you literally had to flee because it got destroyed in the war. What? We get introduced to Quintessa, who I don't know for sure if she is a real character in the actual lore or not. I know that the Quintessans are real, but I don't know for sure about her. So just let me know in the comments if anybody knows that, please. She slaps bro in the face a couple times to turn him into Nemesis Prime, which I don't like. I would have honestly rather had her create another Optimus Prime, like, separately, and I'll explain this again in the end. Anyways, the movie fast forwards to Chicago, where we see these little jits exploring the battlegrounds, and it's like, bro, how long has Chicago been abandoned for, and why is stuff still on fire? Like, it's been years since this battle. Anyways, we get introduced to one of our young female leads who's a minor, so thank God we cannot get sexualized in this movie. She has a Transformers best friend that clearly isn't bothering anyone, who just gets carpet bombed in broad daylight. The Transformer dies, and we get to see, oh my god, our GOAT! Yes, Cade Yeager! Cade comes in and does some really cool dad stuff and saves the kiddos, and then threatens to punch one of them in the face for some reason.
You want to get punched in the face like really hard?
No.
Also, there's this insanely bad issue with the movie and its editing. The aspect ratio changes like every other scene, and it's actually nauseating to watch. Bumblebee comes in to help, and he gets blown to smithereens, and then puts him back. What? Why couldn't Jazz do this? Or Megatron? Or literally anybody else who's gotten dismembered? And if Bumblebee could do this, why is this the first time? God, this is already off to a terrible start. I don't know how long I can keep doing this. Cade finds this random crash ship that's been sitting there for God knows how long, and this random Transformer is in there just dying. Bro, are you trying to put pressure to stop the... This is an ancient robot. This isn't gonna work. So this knight hands Cade this tablet thing, and that basically confirms that yeah, Cade is the chosen one to be the last knight. We get to see Megatron again, which I really like this redesign they gave him, and this is probably the closest we'd ever get to his arm cannon. So I was actually pretty happy with this design. We get introduced to our next female lead, which I gotta talk about this for a second. These movies absolutely suck at writing female characters. Megan Fox's character was like the best we got, while the rest are just so bland. Like, they literally wrote her so that the audience was supposed to take this woman seriously, And then they show scenes like this where they have a girl being a bad driver. Like, wow, yeah, we're real clever and definitely not stereotypical. How are we supposed to take this female lead, like, seriously, if the writers don't even care to write her well enough? Later on, we get back with Megatron, and this makes absolute... If you thought the human and robot stuff in Age of Extinction was confusing, just wait until we get into this part, bro. So, the thing about this... So, if you don't remember... all of the Transformers are supposed to be being hunted and killed. Why do we have a scene of Megatron negotiating with the humans to break his Decepticon buddies out of prison? And why are these suckers in prison? So we're brutally publicly executing the Autobots, but we're putting these Decepticons in prison? What sense does this make? So do these guys have court trials? Do they have like paperwork on them? What kind of prisons are they held in? This is so stupid. So Megatron is like, yo, I'm gonna go home, so let me get these Decepticons so we can hunt down the Autobots and then we'll leave. And these suckers are just gonna buy this? Like, what? Anthony Hopkins is also in this, and he's just having an absolute blast with this stupid script. So they find out that the Transformers have been on Earth since like the beginning of everything. And they were the core reasons for basically every major event like ever. The Transformers fought in World War II, Bumblebee was out here killing Nazis, which doesn't make any sense because he literally arrived on Earth in the 80s. But at this point, I don't know what's canon and what's not. So, I don't know. And apparently, Hitler didn't off himself. It was a watch the whole time. The Transformers were a part of the Knights battles back in the day. They helped Harriet Tubman save the slaves. They were the reason for the eclipse in Berserk. So, like, really everything, bro. So, humanity basically has been useless the entire time. And it was just Transformers just shaping humanity. So how did nobody know about this? There's literally tons and tons of photo evidence, but how has absolutely nobody ever heard of this, or at least heard stories of this? Again, examples of incredibly stupid writing that makes no sense. Also, Hot Rod is ugly black and he's French, and Sam is dead.
What?
Bumblebee's best friend on Earth just dies off screen, and he's not phased at all, and it's not even referenced again. And they don't even explicitly say that he's dead. They just say that all the Witwickens are dead. God, this is terrible. So this staff thing is a thing that the bad guys need for another thing and a big thing that happens in the end. In all seriousness, I think the staff is like what calls Cybertron to come to Earth. I don't remember. I haven't rewatched the movie in a really long time. I just watched the summary before making this. Anyways, Optimus Prime comes back to Earth and he's like evil now. And he's like, yo, give me the staff before I blow your brains out your ears. Which is supposed to be an indication that Optimus Prime turned evil. But like, he's been moving like this since 07, so it's not really a surprise. Bumblebee and Optimus end up fighting. And I'll bring up what I mentioned earlier. I think this fight would have worked better if Nemesis was just a clone that Quintessa had created. And maybe Bumblebee and Prime like team up to take him out. I don't know. I just don't like the fact that the only indication that this is actually Nemesis is that he has purple eyes, and that's literally it. And he's only like this for like 5 minutes and barely in the movie. Prime ends up having a Martha moment with Bumblebee after hearing his voice, and here we go again with the dumb writing contradictions. You literally heard his voice in the first movie. Don't lie. He speaks here, and for whatever reason, he never speaks again until this moment. And this is what gets him out of the trance. So then these knights come out of nowhere and they start beating up Prime. And Prime's like, yo, these suckers are finna kill me. And he just sits there and accepts it. And then Cade comes in like a true Jaegerist that he... Oh, shoot, my fault. Cade comes in like the true Witwicken he is. And like a true Witwicken, he blocks the attack from an ancient Cybertronian warrior. Bro, what is this movie? And then we get like the most American shot ever. Also, Anthony Hopkins dies. Like, bro, how are you gonna go out this sad? He literally was like lost and then got beamed. Cybertron gets called to Earth and starts genuinely like destroying it. Like, even if you guys stop this, 80 billion people have probably already died. Like, this planet was straight up raking the surface of the Earth. They end up stopping Cybertron from crashing into Earth and they just like leave it there. Prime says this speech like, this is both of our worlds now. And it's like, what? Cybertron is literally just chilling in the atmosphere and it's just gonna stay like that? Dog, the entire moon got destroyed. Do you know the effects that you caused to the Earth? Along that, you're just gonna have your whole planet just chilling here? You telling me that every civilian on Earth was like, yeah, nah, that's cool. After this, no Transformer should be After this, the movie ends with them saying that Unicron is here. And I think that's what the horns were that were coming out of the Earth. So yeah, Unicron was the Earth. or was in the Earth. I don't freaking know which one, and I guess we'll never find out because this movie barely made any money at all, being one of the biggest flops of the year, causing Michael Bay to hang up his jersey and cancel the film that was supposed to follow this one. And that's a good thing. I really don't know how many more Transformers L's we could have taken. Literally a year after this dump came out, Bumblebee, which actually was critically acclaimed and the best Transformers movie at the time, and one of my favorite movies, even though that also flopped. The effects of The Last Night genuinely took such a huge toll on the future of Transformers that we are still recovering from. Transformers was a huge flop, even though it was probably the best Transformers piece of media we had gotten ever. Obviously, besides Transformers Prime. To be fair, it did have terrible marketing, but hopefully the future of Transformers will continue to rise as the interest grows with these new franchises that can be introduced. But let's just hope that they're as brutal as always and they don't have Romeo and Juliet laws and that Mark Wahlberg isn't in any of them.
I'm an inventor. This could be a game changer for me. If I can apply that technology to my inventions, we never have to worry about money.